All right, we need to talk again about the Nintendo Switch 2, and this time it's another discussion about the growing mess around physical media, more specifically, the so called game key card situation that Nintendo is apparently downplaying, and fanboys are pretending everything's fine. Spoiler alert, it's not. Now, I'm not one to take corporate statements at face value. Words are cheap. Actions tell the real story, and right now, Nintendo's actions, in my opinion, are raising more red flags than a Mario Kart race in hard mode. So here's the debate: physical media versus game key cards for the Switch 2. Here's what's going on. Nintendo says the Switch 2 supports physical cartridges, and yeah, that's technically true. First party games like Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza will come on actual carts. Cool, that's great. But when it comes to third party support and even some of Nintendo's own smaller releases, things start to get a little sketchier. Instead of full game cartridges, we're seeing these game key cards that are showing up more and more. They're basically physical download tokens. You pop them in, they let you access the game online. You don't own anything on that card. It's literally just a license. So if you're thinking you'll be trading it in or archiving it for your collection, good luck with that, right? Good luck with that. And a lot of the games that are coming out for the Switch 2 launch, like Street Fighter, Puyo Puyo, even some of the RPG games, they're all game key cards. There's some exceptions, like Cyberpunk will be on the cartridge, and yeah, it's a mess, and it's disheartening to see. Honestly, I really don't like that a lot of these developers are going that route, but there's various reasons about it, and to be fair, there are a few upsides to the game key cards. At least you can resell them. You can go and resell the game key card to somebody or take it to GameStop, whatnot. You know, try doing that with a digital eShop game. Nope. Right? But this is a weak compromise, to be honest. It's already obvious where this is heading. Less and less about actual physical media. And if you're like me, you're all about the physical media. I mean, look at all these games that are standing there back behind me collecting dust. So, Doug Bowser did an interview, and he had a carefully worded promise, which we're going to talk about. So, Doug Bowser, who is Nintendo of America's president, I still think it's hilarious that his name is Bowser, but he recently did an interview trying to assure everyone that physical games are still important. But here's the kicker. He specifically says in the immediate future. That phrase alone is doing a lot of heavy lifting, guys. There's these people, when they do interviews, they use certain buzzwords, certain words that are there to give you, like, I guess, damage control or some kind of hope, right? In the immediate future does not mean long-term support for physical media. It doesn't mean 2 years down the line. It means right now. And only because launch windows need retail presence. They need games out on the shelf. They need people to physically see that there's a brand new Donkey Kong game, that there's a brand new Mario Kart game. They need people, they need soccer moms to go in and buy the console, buy the games, buy the accessories, and physically be able to grab stuff. Once you get the console at home, that's where the digital eShop comes into play, because you see it all over the interface, you see the menus, stuff like that. But in the store, you need physical products, right? It's corporate tap dancing at its finest, to be honest. So yeah, they're saying physical is still a priority, but nothing in that statement guarantees it's going to last. And we know that's part of what the game keys are for. So let's talk about third parties and cartridge costs, because we've touched on this lightly. We're going to talk about it again. Let's get real about third party developers. Physical cartridges cost money, especially since the Switch 2 ones are 64 gigabytes. On the Switch 1s, developers had access to multiple cartridge sizes. You had 8 gigabyte, 16 gigabyte, all sorts of them. For the Switch 2, the only confirmed cart size as of right now is 64 gigabytes. And guess what? They're expensive. If you're making a $70 video game, right? Maybe you'll splurge for a proper cartridge, but if your game is 40 or less, maybe even a $15 game, are you really going to pay an extra $16 per a unit just to ship a physical version? Hell no, you're not. Most publishers won't. They'll default to game key cards or go digital only, which at this point, there's not much of a difference other than just having a little game key. It's basically a download, and there's not much of a difference. And before you say that you would pay extra for a true physical copy? Sure you might. Sure you might go and support it, but you're in the minority. Let's be honest. The average consumer doesn't care. They just want the cheapest option, and publishers know that. So don't expect widespread physical third-party releases on Switch 2. It's already looking like the majority of the third-party releases, with the exception of some like Cyberpunk, this launch, are all going to be game key cards. It's looking that way. And I think it's going to be like that for the future. Now, Nintendo is even looking like they might go digital only for some small games. You know, you're thinking, oh, well, Nintendo will still stick to real cartridges for their own games. No, you're wrong. There's already a couple of examples. The Welcome Tour, the Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour is launching day one, and it's $9.99, and it's digital only. And then there's that weird wheelchair game, wheelchair basketball game. I don't even know the title. I can't even think of it off the top of my head. But it's probably going to be like $30 or $40. And Nintendo's not going to print cartridges for that game. I can already tell you that game is probably not going to get a physical copy. If it does, it'll be a year from now probably, with accessories like Snipper Clips was. And yeah, I mean, you think about like the Switch OG, some of the games got cartridges, but they had more options, right? Game Builder Garage, they got a physical release on Switch 1, but that was different times with more cartridge size flexibility. These days, Nintendo might start reserving cartridges only for their biggest hits, not these small projects that quietly slip into digital only territory. So what does this mean for physical collectors, guys? If you're a collector expecting a fully fleshed out physical library for the Switch 2, lower your expectations a bit. I think unless Nintendo surprises us with more cartridge sizes, or third parties suddenly decide to eat the cost, which they won't, spoiler alert, you're looking at a much smaller physical lineup this console generation for the Switch 2. And I'm not saying it's all doom and gloom, alright? Some physical games will still exist, especially first-party titles, but the writing's on the wall. And the industry is leaning harder into digital. This is the digital age, guys. And Nintendo is carefully wording, this whole in the immediate future stance, because we know that they're planning on going digital only. The signs are pointing there, guys. It's all but done. Now, look, I'm not some like, oh, I'm only going to buy physical stuff. There's plenty of digital only games I'm going to get. Like Fast Fusion is launching day one on the Switch 2. I'm buying that. That's digital only. I also enjoy convenience of digital. I had Mario Kart digital only on the Switch OG. Used to pop it, boom, hit the button on the menu, and I'm in. But I also can see the value of owning what you buy, especially when ownership these days just means you're renting access to a server. So yeah, maybe I'm part of the problem, but at least, I still kind of speak my mind about it if I don't like something. I don't like these game key cards. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Is Nintendo slowly phasing out physical media? Are game key cards a reasonable compromise, or are they just a slippery slope? Sound out below, and if you're new here, hit that like button and subscribe. We're on the road to 100,000 subscribers. I'll catch you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching.